Alright, if you want to be successful while you're young, you need to watch this video, and if you can't watch
under the age of 25, stop scrolling.
You were locked in a room for 72 hours encrypted anyone in the world to spend their time.
So in this video, we're going to be discussing who I am and how I created what I've created for myself. If you don't know me, I've built a following of over 2.3 million individuals across all platforms, gotten over 100 million likes. So when you think about it, it's probably like 1 billion or something views. I've made a lot of money in the process, and I've completely freed myself from the 9-to-5 corporate system that a lot of people seem to get trapped into. So the purpose of me sharing this message isn't to flex on everybody, but hopefully to inspire you and hopefully get you to understand that this is all very possible if you just believe in yourself and actually go for it. So without further ado, let's get into it. So a brief personal background for me is I grew up in a small town in Ohio, population of like maybe 10,000. I didn't grow up with any money. No money was ever handed to me in my life except for my graduation party when I graduated high school. I think I got $800. And up until then, that was the most amount of money I ever had in my life. So I had about $800, and I think this summer going into college was like the worst summer of my life. I was like super depressed because I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was just kind of going with the motion, going to college, and it just wasn't satisfying or fulfilling to me whatsoever. So I go to college, and I think I lasted about a month or two before I ended up dropping out because I just knew it was not for me. I just wanted to make my mom happy. That's really the only reason I went, because she never had an opportunity to go to college. She grew up homeless. So she was like, just go, I'll pay for it, whatever. And I was like, all right, but it's not gonna last long at all. So it didn't. I dropped out really quick. And this is kind of where the TikTok thing started, because growing up, I always loved video games. Like growing up, I loved things where it's like the more you put into them, the more you get out of them. And up until this point, I never really had something that actually mattered. Like I played Clash of Clans and shit, but I always got bored because I knew it didn't really matter. It didn't really have any real life significance. So that's when I kind of discovered TikTok, and I was like, okay, well, the more I put into this, the more I'm gonna get out of it, and it could actually give me some real life benefits on like just a video game. And I always was kind of keen to social media. In like 7th and 8th grade, I had a big TikTok account, big Instagram account. It's like 20,000 followers, but then I got bullied so hard I deleted it because I didn't want to get bullied. So I dropped out, and I was like, you know what, like let me just do something where it's like the more I put into it, the more I get out of it. So that's what drew me to TikTok. And first video I posted on TikTok got 1 million views, and I was like, that's crazy. And then literally the first day I go to the bars in my hometown for the first time. I was 20, I think it was 19. I went to the bars for the first time, and someone recognized me from my first TikTok video. They're like, yo, I saw you on TikTok the other day. And that was when I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? That basically sold me on the fact that like I should just go really hard on this and see what happens. I was posting just the most random videos ever. At first, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had zero expectations. I was just posting like pranks, pranking my mom, anything really, like any idea I could have. And I was just trying to test what would work to see what sticks, And I think a lot of people go into it just trying to pick their niche rather than like seeing what do people want to hear from you. So eventually I ended up becoming the relationship advice guy, and I had no idea that was going to happen whatsoever, but it worked to the point where I gave so much relationship advice, and just kind of like any relationship advice with your parents, intimate, friendships, to the point where I was at like 1.5 million followers, and then I kind of started to branch off a little bit and just kind of talk about whatever I wanted to because I was so solidified I could talk about whatever I wanted to, but it's not like I wanted to be the relationship advice guy. It just worked for me. And I think a lot of people have a huge misconception where it's like, it has to be something that they like at first, but it really doesn't. It just needs to work and then go hard at it until you can then do whatever you want. That was my initial experiences with TikTok. And then that's when I really started to build a brand for myself. So I found my niche, my unique style, just by trial and error. And like I said, that's what people kind of neglect. It's like, I tried everything, bro. If you scroll down on my TikTok, I have 4,000 videos posted, bro. In 3 years, like that's like 5 a day, 3 a day or something like that. So it's like just trial and error, testing the waters and seeing what do people want to hear from you. And that's how I found mine, It's like, and then eventually I have 2.1 million followers now, and I can just talk about whatever I want to talk about because people aren't really interested in what I'm talking about. It's just like They're interested in me and what I have to say because I've built such a strong following. And there's been a lot of strategies I've used over the past couple of years that have really helped in building an audience. And it's just like constantly scouring the internet and seeing what do people care about right now, talking about it, voicing your opinion about these giant trends that are going on and being controversial. It's like, don't be so controversial to the point where you lose half your followers, but be controversial enough to get people to comment. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's why I haven't really commented on the whole Israel-Palestine shit. It's because like, it's so touchy, and it's like, I think you guys could probably understand where I come from with that. It's like, do I want to jeopardize half of my following, half of my brand? Or I don't know, maybe it's not half, but it's just things like that in politics that I try to stay away from. But I try to be controversial in all other avenues of society. Does that make sense? And I think the most important part, hands down most important part, is just authenticity and being transparent, being vulnerable, and not trying to do 120% when you're on the camera. Like if you look at my TikToks and you look at my videos, you'll see that a majority of my videos are literally just me on the couch. Like I saw something that I wanted to talk about, I pull up my phone, I'm literally laying on the couch and I talk about it. It doesn't have to be complicated. People complicate things so much to the point they never start because they think that everything has to be perfect or people are gonna judge them or it's never gonna work when, dude, it's so simple. But you just make it so complicated. It can really all be so simple if you allow it to be. So it took me about 1.5 years to really establish a following. I was posting 5 times a day, every day from my mom's basement. I had no idea where it was gonna take me. I met my mentor, moved to Miami in 2021, and that was when everything really changed for me. My videos were getting millions of views, almost every video, hundreds of thousands of views every video. And that's when I started to really make real money. I went from making $5,000 a month to $30,000, $40,000 a month every month. And this was 2 years ago. And I was like, what's going on? I was getting recognized every time I went out. I was like, what is really going on? I'm just a kid from a small town in Ohio. This is literally insane. I think I was growing hundreds of thousands of followers every single month, but I really wasn't making that much money. It's crazy because I'm getting half as many views right now, but I'm making 5 times the amount of money. Just to show you that it doesn't matter how many views you get, it just matters who's viewing your video. It was something, the fame is something that I've never really allowed to get to my head because I always, I'm still friends with my good friends that I grew up with in Ohio and they keep me very humble because they treat me the exact same. They always have, my family treats me the exact same. So it's like, I'm still just a kid, I'm still just a guy who's just doing shit, it's like, this is just part of me, it's not like I'm some superstar or anything, and it could all be taken away from you like that. So that's one thing that I definitely acknowledge is like, it's very fragile. It's like, I don't plan on being a public figure for my whole life, but right now I'm just riding the wave and enjoying the shit out of it really, and seeing where life takes me. But fame is definitely something that I've never allowed to I never really allow myself to think that I'm famous. I'm just a guy who talks on the internet. I'm not fucking famous, It's like, I have a lot of followers, cool, but not famous. And throughout the whole journey, there's been a lot of challenges that I've had to overcome, hurdles, obstacles, most of them being mental. Like after years, 4 years, 3 years of posting online, you change and you develop a lot as an individual. And it gets hard to really post because you don't really know who you are all the time. And like, I'm the guy I'm like the mindset guy, I'm like I'm like the advice guy. So whenever I'm going through things, it's kind of hard for me to talk about it, even though that's exactly when I have to. But it's like, I've changed so much, my content has changed so much, and people are always like, I miss when you talk about this, or I miss when you posted this. And I'm like, dude, like I changed as an individual. Like, I'm trying to figure myself out too. It's like, I want to serve you guys, I want to make good content for you guys, but like, I also don't want to be a coward and not post what I truly think about, so I've always had to overcome that. I went through a phase of depersonalization for like 8 months after one bad high. That was really tough mentally because like, I didn't know who I was for like 8 months, but I still had to keep posting and keep posting. And I think a big part of that was, it would have been so easy to like throw in the towel and take a huge break. But the thing is I've never taken a long break, like more than 5 days in my whole social media career, because I keep pressure on myself. I keep my expenses very high. So that basically means like, if I ever lay off the gas entirely, like I'm going to go under. Not anymore. Well, no, I still keep my expenses very high for that exact reason, because it'd be super easy to get comfortable. So I would highly encourage every single person watching this to get uncomfortable, bro. Get out of your parents' house, raise your expenses so you have pressure on you to grow. if you have no pressure, you're not going to grow. It's pretty simple. So in about mid 2021 is when February of 2021 is when I actually really started to make money off social media, like $60, $70, $80,000 a month. I was like really starting to understand how to monetize everything, and that's when everything kind of changed. To this day, I've taken maybe 3 or 4 brand deals because I don't want to saturate my audience with other people's products when I could just promote my own and keep all the money and not promote someone else's product. So that's when I created Create Your Reality, which actually launches on Black Friday. This video probably won't be out by then, but if it's still open, it's only open 4 times a year. It might be in the description if it's still open. Create Reality is like a group coaching thing where I basically created a blueprint for kids on how to create a reality of their own design rather than like going through the system. So it's a blueprint, a replication of exactly what I've done and how they can implement everything that I've done mentally, spiritually, financially, and everything. So basically, I'm not trying to sell you guys on it at all right now. It's not what I'm trying to do. My intentions with it was providing what people wanted and it getting in return value in terms of money, and they got value in terms of all the information. So business, one thing I took a while to understand is that it's just an exchange of value. So if you give someone value, they're going to give you something of value as well. It's like bartering, but money is a thing of exchange now. So when I was creating Create Reality, I put out a poll and a questionnaire saying like, what do you guys want help with? And then everyone's answers were relatively similar. So I was like, all right, well, I can create exactly what they want, solve their problem, and I'll get paid by solving their problems. That's fucking perfect. That's when everything really started to change, is with Create Your Reality and just understanding that simple concept of providing value to people, and you'll always get something if you provide. So that changed everything for me. And to this day, like I said, I still don't take partnerships because I just don't think they're worth it. It's like cool, quick hit of money, but like you have a brand image that is worth way more than money and you need to maintain it. Never sell your soul. Never be like one of these people that promotes like degeneracy for money, especially if it's like unproven, like going onto these gambling websites and promoting those. Like you're going to lose 10 times out of 10 times on those gambling websites. That's why I'll never promote a gambling website. The only thing I would consider promoting that's like in that spectrum is like sports betting. If I found someone who could genuinely show me that they can make money by like making me money and then promoting it, I would maybe consider doing that. But that's like a very iffy thing to me, just because I know my brand is so strong and powerful and I love it. I'm very grateful for it. My future plans and advice I have for the future is just taking it day by day, and really trying to capitalize off of every second that you have, being very, very intentional about where all of your time is going. I think that's a main thing that separated me from everybody else, is everyone thinks that they have all the time in the world, which you kind of do, but I never allowed myself to think that. I always I treat every second like it's the most precious thing on earth, especially when I was growing. It's like, if I wasn't doing something every second, if I wasn't sleeping or eating, I had to have been doing something to help me grow. And I didn't get caught up in the micro. It's super easy to think like you're not making any progress when you got to kind of zoom out and look at the whole staircase and recognize that it takes one step at a time to get to the top. And just really, really taking advantage of every second, every day, and just building a strong foundation to your life and your business by building brick by brick, not getting overwhelmed and comparing yourself to the people at the pinnacle, at the top of their industry. Because when I started, when all these other people started, we didn't have other people to compare ourselves to, because the scrolling nowadays is like so toxic. It's so overwhelming. I didn't have that when I started. I just had me versus me becoming the best version of myself. So like, limit all your distractions and the people you compare yourself to, and just take every day very seriously. And that's how you win life. That's literally how you win. To summarize, it's been an insane journey, genuinely. I forget often that I really came from nothing, because I'm so focused on the day-to-day tasks and like really just continuing to build and keeping up the speed and the momentum. But ultimately, it's been a really insane ride, and I think we're entering another season of growth, especially with YouTube, and things are picking up all over. So it's just been insane. So my biggest takeaway for you to implement into your life is to ignore the negative noise, ignore what the haters have to say, and listen to your inner voice, bro. It's pushing you and pulling you towards that thing, that dream, that aspiration for a reason, and you need to listen to it, or else you're literally just like ignoring God, I like to think. So don't ignore that voice, listen to it, and trust yourself. So that's it for this video. Much love.